Commander Park Sujin felt her ship shake violently as another explosion rocked the engine room. Red warning lights flashed everywhere, and the computer's voice kept repeating hull breach detected in that calm way computers had, even when everything was falling apart. Come on, hold together, she whispered to her ship, the exploration vessel Aegis. She had been alone for 3 months, mapping unknown star systems at the edge of human space. Now, thanks to a hyperdrive malfunction that she still didn't understand, she was somewhere completely off the charts. The ship lurched forward as gravity from an unknown planet caught it. Through the cracked viewscreen, Sujin could see a blue and green world growing larger by the second. It would have been beautiful if she wasn't about to crash into it. She strapped herself into the pilot seat and tried to fire the landing thrusters. Only half of them worked. The Aegis hit the atmosphere like a rock thrown into water, heating up and shaking so hard that Sujin's teeth rattled. She fought to keep the ship level, but it was no use. The ground rushed up to meet her. The crash threw Sujin forward against her restraints so hard that she blacked out. When she woke up, everything hurt. Her left arm was definitely broken, and something warm was running down her face. Blood? Probably. The ship's cabin was tilted at a crazy angle, and she could hear air hissing out through cracks in the hull. She dragged herself to the emergency locker and pulled out a portable life support unit. The radiation detector on her suit was clicking faster and faster. That wasn't good. The hyperdrive explosion had probably flooded the ship with deadly radiation. She had maybe a day before it killed her, assuming the broken life support didn't get her first. Sujin managed to crawl outside through a hole torn in the ship's side. The planet's air was breathable, which was lucky, because her suit's filters were cracked. She found some metal sheets that had been thrown clear of the wreck and used them to build a small shelter away from the radiation. For 2 days, she waited to die. The radiation sickness was getting worse. She couldn't keep food down, and her hair was starting to fall out. Sometimes she thought she saw lights moving in the distance, but she figured that was just her brain playing tricks on her. On the 3rd day, she woke up to find she wasn't alone. 3 tall figures stood near her shelter. They looked almost human, but their skin seemed to be made of living crystal that caught and reflected light in amazing ways. They moved with a grace that made Sujin think of dancers or birds. The tallest one held some kind of device that was beeping softly. "Please do not fear us," the tall one said. Somehow, she could understand him perfectly, though his voice sounded like wind chimes. "I am Veltar. We detected your vessel's crash." Sujin tried to sit up, but her body wouldn't cooperate. "You speak? How do you speak my language?" One of the others, younger looking, stepped forward. "We have translation technology. I am Kirith. You are dying from radiation poisoning. We can help, but... But what?" Sujin managed to ask. Veltar looked uncomfortable. "Our laws forbid us from interfering with species that have not yet achieved full space travel. You are what we would call a developing civilization." "I traveled between stars to get here," Sujin pointed out, though even talking was exhausting. "In primitive chemical rockets, yes. But you do not have true faster-than-light technology. Your hyperdrive is stolen from a derelict ship, modified in ways that are dangerous and unstable." He was right, though Sujin wasn't going to admit it. Humanity had only found their first piece of alien technology 5 years ago. Everything they knew about space travel, they had figured out by taking apart that one crashed ship. "So you're going to let me die because we're too primitive?" she asked. The young one, Kirith, knelt down beside her. "No. I will not let that happen. Veltar, look at her. She traveled alone for months, survived a hyperdrive explosion, built shelter from scrap metal, and has shown no fear even facing death. This is not the mind of a primitive being. Kirith, if the Council discovers what you are planning, then I will face exile. But I cannot watch an intelligent being die when we have the power to save her." Before Veltar could argue further, Kirith activated a device that looked like a smooth, glowing stone. He held it near Sujin's body, and immediately she felt better. The pain faded, and she could breathe easier. "This will neutralize the radiation and repair the cellular damage," Kirith explained. "But the treatment will take several weeks. You must come with us." Sujin found herself in a city unlike anything she had ever imagined. The buildings seemed to grow from the ground like crystal trees, and light flowed through them like water. The Zephyrians, as they called themselves, were the most peaceful people she had ever met. They had no weapons, no armies, no concept of war. Their greatest achievement was not conquest, but art and philosophy. During her recovery, Sujin shared stories of human history, culture, and dreams. The Zephyrians were fascinated by humanity's ability to create beauty from struggle, to find hope in darkness, and to never give up even when facing impossible odds. Your species interests us greatly, Kirith told her one evening as they watched the sunset paint the crystal city in shades of gold and purple. You have known war, poverty, and suffering, yet you still reach for the stars. We have known only peace, yet we fear to leave our world. Maybe, Sujin said quietly, you just need someone to show you that the universe isn't as scary as you think. 6 months after her return to Earth, Commander Park Sujin sat in a grey metal room deep inside Lunar Station. Across from her, Captain Lee Minute-Ho flipped through her mission report for the 3rd time. His face showed no expression, but Sujin could tell he was thinking hard. Crystalline aliens who saved your life, Minute-Ho said slowly. Advanced medical technology. A peaceful civilization that has never known war. He looked up at her. You understand why the Federation Council thinks you imagined all of this. Sujin pulled a small object from her pocket and placed it on the table. It looked like a piece of carved starlight, smooth and warm to the touch. Kirith gave this to me before I left. He said it would help me remember that kindness exists in the universe. Minute-Ho picked up the crystal and held it to the light. Immediately, the room filled with a soft holographic display showing star charts and symbols and flowing alien script. His eyes widened. This technology is at least 1,000 years ahead of ours, he whispered. Where did you say their homeworld is located? Sujin pointed to a section of the star map. Here. About 4 to 7 light-years from Earth, in what we call the Kepler 442 system. Minute-Ho's face went pale. He quickly activated his computer terminal and pulled up recent deep space monitoring reports. Sujin, we've been tracking massive energy signatures in that exact sector for the past month. Unknown vessels, moving in perfect attack formation. Dr. Kim Ha-won, the Federation's alien technology expert, rushed into the room carrying a datapad. Captain, you need to see this immediately. She stopped when she saw the holographic display still floating above the table. Is that Zephyrian technology? Dr. Kim, what did you find? Minute-Ho asked. The energy patterns from those unknown ships. I've been analyzing them for weeks. They don't match anything in our databases, but the formation patterns. She pulled up another holographic display. This is a siege formation. Someone is surrounding the Zephyrian homeworld. Sujin felt her stomach drop. Who would attack them? They don't even have weapons. We don't know, Dr. Kim admitted. But based on the size of these energy signatures, we're looking at a fleet of at least 50 massive warships. Each one is bigger than our largest battlecruiser. Minute-Ho studied the displays with growing concern. The ships appeared suddenly, as if they came from outside our galaxy. They've been holding position around the Zephyrian system for 3 weeks now. Why haven't they attacked yet? Sujin asked. Maybe they're waiting for something. Or maybe they're trying to force the Zephyrians to surrender without a fight. Dr. Kim touched her datapad, and new information appeared. I've been cross-referencing with deep space archaeological data. There are records of similar energy signatures from dead star systems across the galaxy. Places where entire civilizations just disappeared. Disappeared how? No survivors. No ruins. Just empty planets stripped of all resources and technology. The locals call whatever did this the Devourers, but most people think it's just a myth. Sujin stood up suddenly, her chair scraping against the floor. We have to help them. Minute-Ho shook his head. The Federation Council has already made their decision. Official policy is complete neutrality in alien conflicts. We cannot risk human lives or resources in a war that isn't ours. It became ours the moment they saved my life, Sujin said, her voice getting louder. These people risked everything to help one human being. One. And now we're going to abandon them when they need us most. Sujin, be realistic. We have 12 active warships in the entire Federation Navy. Even if we sent all of them, what could we do against 50 alien superweapons? I don't know, but we have to try something. Dr. Kim looked thoughtful. There might be another way. The Federation Council said no official intervention. They didn't say anything about unofficial intervention. Minute-Ho raised an eyebrow. What are you suggesting? Extended deep space patrol. Routine mission. 3 ships, maximum crew, officially investigating asteroid mining opportunities in the Outer Rim. And unofficially? Reconnaissance mission to assess the situation. If we happen to encounter hostile aliens threatening a peaceful species. Dr. Kim shrugged. Well, that's just bad luck for the hostile aliens. Sujin felt hope rising in her chest. How long would it take to get there? With our fastest ships? 2 weeks. Minute-Ho was quiet for a long moment, staring at the holographic displays. Finally, he sighed. I can't officially authorize this mission. I understand. But I also can't stop a senior officer from requesting extended patrol duty to test new navigation systems. Sujin smiled for the first time in weeks. What about crew? Volunteers only. People who understand they might not come back. I'll pilot the lead ship myself. Sujin, you're not qualified to command a battle fleet. Then find me someone who is. Someone who believes that when good people are in trouble, you help them, even if it's dangerous. Dr. Kim nodded. I know just the person. Captain Choi Hyun-woo. He's been looking for an excuse to test his new combat tactics against a real enemy. Is he good? He's the best we have. And more importantly, he's the kind of person who would risk his career to do the right thing. Minute-Ho made his decision. All right. But this conversation never happened. If anyone asks, you three were never in this room. As they prepared to leave, Sujin picked up Kiraetha's crystal. It felt warm in her hand, almost like it was alive. We're coming, she whispered to it. You saved one of us. Now we're coming back for all of you. Outside the window, the stars seemed brighter than usual, as if they were calling humanity to take its first real step into the galaxy. The human fleet dropped out of hyperspace like ghosts emerging from a nightmare. 3 sleek warships materialized in the darkness, the heavy cruiser Indomitable under Commander Park Sejin's command, flanked by the destroyers Guardian and Valiant. Captain Choi Hyun-woo stood on the bridge of the Guardian, studying the tactical display with cold eyes. What they saw made even the hardest veterans fall silent. The beautiful blue-green world that Sujin remembered was surrounded by a ring of black ships. These vessels were nothing like human designs, they looked like massive insects made of dark metal, with long spikes and surfaces that seemed to eat light itself. Each one was easily 3 times the size of a human battlecruiser. 6 to 7 enemy ships confirmed, reported Lieutenant Yo Daeun from her position at the sensor station. They're maintaining a perfect siege formation around the planet. Any signs of fighting? Sujin asked. Negative, Commander. But I'm detecting massive energy shields around the planet. The Zephyrians have gone completely defensive. Captain Choi's voice crackled over the communications system. Sujin, those black ships are scanning us. I don't think they consider 3 human vessels much of a threat. Good. Let them think we're just lost explorers. Sujin turned to her communications officer. Can you reach the planet's surface? Trying now, Commander. The enemy ships are jamming most frequencies, but, wait. I'm getting something on the old emergency channel you used 6 months ago. The holographic display flickered to life, showing a familiar crystalline face. But Kiraeth looked nothing like the peaceful being Sujin remembered. Scars ran across his translucent features, and his normally bright inner light seemed dim and tired. Commander Park Sujin? His voice carried disbelief and joy in equal measure. You have returned to us. But why do you bring warships? We would never ask you to sacrifice your people for ours. You didn't ask, Sujin replied simply. But you saved one of ours, so we came back for all of yours. How bad is the situation? Kiraeth's expression grew dark. The Devourers arrived 3 months ago. They gave us one demand: surrender all our technology and become their slaves, or watch our world burn. We refused, so they began the siege. How many of your people are still alive? 40 million, trapped in the underground cities. Our shields protect us from their weapons, but we cannot leave. We cannot fight. We have never learned how to make war. Captain Choi's image appeared beside Kiraeth's on the display. Lucky for you, we have. But there are so many of them, Kiraeth said, looking at the tactical display. And they have destroyed 17 other civilizations. How can 3 small ships? 3 small ships with very angry humans inside them, Sujin interrupted. Kiraeth, we need you to lower your planetary shields for exactly 10 minutes. That would expose our cities to attack. Trust me. In 10 minutes, either we'll have broken their siege, or we'll all be dead. Either way, you won't need to worry about the shields anymore. Kiraeth stared at her for a long moment. The human who crashed on our world was brave beyond reason. I see that this is a trait of your entire species. Some might call it stupidity, Sujin admitted. Perhaps. But if you are willing to die for us, then we are willing to trust you with our lives. The connection ended, and Sujin turned to her crew. All hands, this is the commander. In 5 minutes, we're going to attack a fleet that outnumbers us 20 to 1. Each of their ships is 3 times our size and probably has weapons we can't even imagine. The bridge crew exchanged glances, but no one looked afraid. However, Sujin continued, those ships were designed to fight defenseless civilizations. They've never faced an enemy that fights back. They don't know about human tactics, human weapons, or human stubbornness. We're going to teach them. Lieutenant Commander Oh Jung-minute, the fighter squadron leader, spoke up from his position. Commander, my pilots are ready. We've been itching for a real fight. Major on Sora, are your Marines prepared for evacuation duty? Yes, Commander. We can have transports ready to extract civilians the moment those shields drop. Captain Choi's voice came over the comm again. Sujin, I've identified their command ship. It's the largest one, positioned directly above the main Zephyrian city. If we can take it out, the rest might lose coordination. What's your plan? Something they'll never expect. We're going to charge straight at them. That's insane. Exactly. They've been fighting civilized species for centuries. They probably don't even remember what real savages fight like. Sujin looked at the tactical display one more time. 6 to 7 alien warships against 3 human vessels. The odds were impossible, but then again, humans had never been very good at accepting impossible odds. All ships, this is Commander Park. Execute attack pattern Alpha. Show these devourers what happens when you threaten our friends. The human fleet accelerated toward the enemy formation, engines blazing like angry stars. Behind them, the Zephyrian planetary shields began to flicker and fade. In the darkness between worlds, humanity was about to announce its presence to the galaxy in the most human way possible, with violence, courage, and an absolute refusal to abandon those who had shown them kindness. The war for Zephyria was about to begin. The first Devourer ship to die never saw it coming. Lieutenant Commander Oh Jung-minute led his squadron of 12 fighters in a diving attack that the alien sensors couldn't track. The sleek human craft moved like angry wasps, weaving between the massive enemy vessels at speeds that should have been impossible. Fox 3, Fox 3. Jung-minute shouted into his radio as he released his missiles. The nuclear warheads streaked toward their target, a Devourer cruiser that was busy scanning the planet below. The explosions tore through the alien ship's hull like it was made of paper. The Devourers had never faced an enemy that attacked in swarms. For 1,000 years, they had fought civilizations that built big, slow battleships and tried to match them gun for gun. They had no idea how to deal with tiny fighters that struck like lightning and disappeared before return fire could find them. This is Guardian, Captain Choi Hyun-woo's voice crackled over the battle network. Beginning attack run on the command ship. All fighters, clear the firing lane. The human destroyer Guardian accelerated straight toward the largest Devourer vessel, a monstrous thing that looked like a black cathedral made of spikes and armor. Energy beams lashed out from the alien ship, but Choi flew his vessel in an unpredictable zigzag pattern that made targeting impossible. Sir, they're trying to surround us, reported his weapons officer, Ensign Park Jin-suk. Let them try. Launch kinetic rounds, full spread. The Guardian's magnetic rail guns fired tungsten rods at a significant fraction of light speed. The projectiles had no explosives, no fancy technology, they were just chunks of very dense metal moving very fast. When they hit the Devourer command ship, they punched through its armor like bullets through wet paper. The alien vessel shuddered and began to list to one side, dark fluid leaking from the holes in its hull. Meanwhile, Major on Sora was leading the most dangerous mission of all. Her transport ships dove through the battle toward the planet's surface, dodging energy beams and debris. The Zephyrian shields had dropped exactly as planned, leaving the underground cities exposed but also allowing the human rescue ships to land. Touchdown in 30 seconds, Sora announced to her Marines. Remember, these people have never seen violence before. Move fast but gentle. We're here to save them, not scare them. The transport settled into a crystal plaza in the heart of the main Zephyrian city. Sora's Marines poured out, their weapons ready but pointed down. Around them, thousands of crystalline beings huddled in terror as the battle raged overhead. Kirith appeared from one of the underground shelters, his form flickering with distress. Major Sora, there are children in the deep shelters. They are too frightened to move. Show me, Sora said simply. While the evacuation proceeded on the surface, the space battle was turning into something the galaxy had never seen before. The Devourers were used to overwhelming their enemies with superior numbers and firepower. But the humans fought like they were completely insane. Commander Sujin brought her heavy cruiser Indomitable straight through the middle of the enemy formation, all guns blazing. Devourer ships tried to surround her, but every time they moved to attack, human fighters would appear from nowhere and tear into their flanks. "Commander, we're taking heavy damage to the port side," reported Lieutenant Yo Daeun. "Hull breaches on decks 4 through 7. Can we still fight?" "Yes, but..." "Then we keep fighting. Target that battleship on our starboard side. Full spread, everything we have." The Indomitable's missiles launched in a cloud of fire and fury. The Devourer battleship tried to shoot them down, but there were too many coming too fast. The explosions lit up space like a new sun. Captain Choi, meanwhile, had discovered something interesting about Devourer tactics. "All ships, this is Guardian. The enemy vessels are designed for intimidation, not maneuverability. They can't turn fast enough to track our attack runs." "Understood, Guardian. Exploiting that weakness now." The human ships began using hit-and-run tactics that the Devourers had no answer for. The aliens would form up in perfect battle lines, only to watch the humans streak past at impossible angles, firing as they went. By the time the Devourers could turn to respond, the human ships were already gone. But the battle was taking its toll. The Valiant took a direct hit from a Devourer energy cannon and went dark, drifting helplessly with half its crew dead. The Guardian was leaking atmosphere from a dozen hull breaches. Even the mighty Indomitable was down to half power. "Sir, enemy reinforcements jumping in," Jung Minute reported from his damaged fighter. 20 more ships, heavy class." Sujin looked at her tactical display and felt her heart sink. They had already destroyed or disabled 30 Devourer vessels, but more kept coming. Humanity had fought bravely, but the numbers were just too overwhelming. Then Kiraetha's voice came over the emergency channel, speaking words that would become legend throughout the galaxy. "Commander Sujin, this is Kiraeth. The evacuation is complete. All our people are safe aboard your ships. But we cannot watch you die for us without doing something in return." "What do you mean?" "We may be pacifists, but we are not helpless. Our planet has defensive capabilities that we have never used. Stand clear." The planet of Zephyria began to glow. Ancient weapons, sleeping for millions of years, came online with a sound like singing crystal. Energy beams of pure light reached out from the surface, touching the remaining Devourer ships. One by one, the alien vessels simply ceased to exist, dissolved by technology that turned matter back into energy. In the sudden silence that followed, Sujin realized that humanity had just won its first interstellar war. 3 weeks after the battle, the newly constructed peace station orbited Zephyria like a silver star. The station was a marvel of both human and Zephyrian engineering, crystal spires growing from metal frameworks, creating something beautiful that neither species could have built alone. Ambassador Han Mi Young adjusted her formal uniform one last time before entering the main conference room. As Earth's newest diplomatic representative, she had been chosen specifically because she understood the importance of this moment. Across the galaxy, dozens of species were watching to see what would happen when humans and Zephyrians officially met as equals. The conference room was filled with representatives from both worlds. On one side sat the human delegation, military officers still bearing scars from the recent battle, scientists eager to learn, and diplomats trying to figure out how to handle humanity's first alien alliance. On the other side, the Zephyrians glowed softly in the station's artificial light, their crystalline forms beautiful and serene. Kiraeth, now bearing the title of First Ambassador to Humanity, stood at the center of the room. The scars from the Devourer siege were still visible on his translucent features, but his inner light burned brighter than ever. "Before we begin," Kiraeth said, his voice carrying the musical quality that all Zephyrians possessed, "the Council of Elders wishes to present humanity with a gift of gratitude." He gestured, and other Zephyrians brought forward displays of technology that made the human scientists gasp. Star charts showing the locations of habitable worlds, medical devices that could cure diseases unknown to human medicine, and energy sources that could power entire cities. "We offer you the knowledge of 1,000,000 years of peaceful development," Kiraeth continued. "Faster-than-light communications, matter converters, life extension technology. All of this is yours, freely given, because you saved our people when you had no reason to do so." Admiral Park Sejin, recently promoted after the battle, stood up slowly. Her left arm was still in a healing cast from the final engagement with the Devourers, but her voice was strong and clear. "Ambassador Kiraeth, friends of Zephyria, I must respectfully decline your gifts. The room fell silent. Several human diplomats looked shocked, and even the Zephyrians seemed surprised. You saved my life once, Sijin continued, and we came back to save yours. That debt has been paid in full. We did not fight the Devourers for reward or payment. We fought because it was the right thing to do. Ambassador Han Mi Young felt her heart racing. This was not what they had planned to say. The technology the Zephyrians were offering could advance human civilization by centuries. Then what do you propose? Kirith asked, genuine curiosity in his musical voice. Partnership, Sujin said simply. Not as servants or masters, but as equals. Two species working together to make the galaxy a safer place for everyone. She walked to the center of the room, standing directly beside Kirith. The Devourers are not the only threat out there. There are other species that prey on the weak, other empires that conquer through fear. But together, we can stand against them. You speak of the Terran-Zephyrian Mutual Defense Pact, Han Mi Young said, finally understanding what Sijin was doing. An alliance between equals, each contributing their strengths to protect the other. Kirith's inner light pulsed with what humans had learned to recognize as deep thought. Your species fascinates us, Admiral Sijin. You have the technology to be conquerors, the weapons to be destroyers, yet you choose to be protectors. This is unprecedented in our experience. Maybe that's what the galaxy needs, suggested Captain Choi Hyun-woo from his seat near the back of the room. His ship had been badly damaged in the battle, but he had refused to return to Earth until the alliance talks were complete. Something unprecedented. Young Corporal Nam Tai-young, barely 19 and still amazed to be included in such important meetings, spoke up from near the viewing window. Ambassador Kirith, could I ask you something? Of course, young human. Before the war, had any Zephyrian ever seen violence like that battle? Never. For us, it was like watching natural disasters fight each other among the stars. Terrible and beautiful and completely beyond our understanding. But you helped us anyway. Your planet's weapons saved our ships. Kirith's crystalline features shifted in what humans had learned was the Zephyrian equivalent of a smile. You taught us that sometimes, to protect what you love, you must be willing to fight for it. This was a hard lesson for a peaceful people to learn. Through the viewing window, they could see human and Zephyrian children playing together in the station's recreational area. The young humans were teaching Zephyrian younglings to play soccer, while the crystal children showed their new friends how to make light patterns dance through the air. Little Zara and I, a Zephyrian child who had become something of a station mascot, pressed her face against the conference room window. In broken but enthusiastic Korean, she called out, Auntie Sujin. Are we family now? Sujin smiled and walked to the window. What do you think, little one? I think, Zara and I said carefully, that family means people who help each other when there is trouble. That's exactly right. As the formal signing ceremony began, news of the alliance was already spreading across the galaxy. Within hours, representatives from 12 other species had requested meetings with the new Terran-Zephyrian partnership. The Morvac Republic wanted protection from raiders. The Kepler Mining Collective needed help with territorial disputes. The pacifist Gentle Ones asked for defensive treaties. Ambassador Han Mi Young looked at the signing document, a simple agreement that two species would stand together, share knowledge freely, and protect each other from those who would do harm. It was barely 3 pages long, written in language so simple that even a child could understand it. But as she signed her name beside Kirith's flowing Zephyrian script, she knew they were creating something that would reshape the entire galaxy. One act of compassion on a distant world had become the foundation of the Galactic Cooperative. And it all started because someone decided that strangers were worth saving.